President of the UAE issues decree to restructure the country's audit bureau. UAE oil tanker freed from Somali pirates. And Russia continues to suffer from heat and forest fires. This is 7 National News. In our top story this evening, President His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan has issued a decree to restructure the country's audit bureau. According to Federal Law No. 8 of 2011, the second article of the second law states that the audit bureau is the supreme element of financial control and accountability of the state, which will see a corporate body and financial and administrative autonomy. The decree will also see the fight against corruption in the entities under its control to ensure proper management and the use of public funds, as well as its main task of financial supervision. The chairman of the bureau will be appointed by a federal committee. The UAE oil tanker that was seized by Somali pirates on July 16th, carrying 3,500 tonnes of oil worth 17 million dirhams, has been released without a ransom. According to a local paper, the MV Juba XX and its 16-man crew was released after Somali cargo owners pressed local tribal leaders and government officials to get involved. The ship is now on its way to Bosaso in Somalia to resupply and then on to Berbera to unload the cargo. Omar Al-Khair, whose Al Kuwait-based Emirates shipping company manages the vessel, was quoted in a local paper as saying that he had received the news from the ship on Wednesday. He added that he had convinced the captors not to resort to violence as the oil on board was flammable. The Sheikh Mohammed Centre for Cultural Understanding, as part of its mission to enhance cross-cultural tolerance, held a lecture at the Jumeirah Mosque with the aim to educate people about the Islamic faith. Under the theme of Open Doors, Open Minds, the Institute has been undertaking several initiatives to spread awareness of the Islamic faith. SMCCU representatives stressed the importance for expatriates and non-Muslims to unite with Muslims and respect the fasting rules. The cultural presenters, who are recent converts themselves, highlighted the 5 pillars of Islam and explained what this time of year means to them.
Really, basically, we're just trying to build the bridges between the different cultures and nationalities, and really just to let people know that Islam is a really, really peaceful way of life.
I converted to Islam in October of 2007, and there are many reasons that I converted. One was because Islam offers a complete way of life. It gives you guidance from what you should wear, what to eat, every aspect of a person's life. So the advice that I would give is, if you're a new convert, then speak to other Muslims, understand about the rules of fasting, and particularly when you're breaking the fast. Take the opportunity to spend more time reading the Quran, remembering the reasons why you converted, and knowing that you're doing it not because somebody else is doing it, but you're doing it because God has asked you to do so in order to bring an awareness and a consciousness.
Hiring continues to maintain its momentum during the summer months in the UAE. Recruitment companies are now stressing that Ramadan and the summer period are good times to continue the job search, with managers having more time on their hands for interviews. Lauda Sexton has this report.
Traditionally, recruitment globally sees a slowdown in the summer period, but recruiters in the UAE are maintaining that hiring is continuing here at a steady pace. However, the process from interview to job placement is taking longer to materialise.
But we're actually seeing quite a significant uplift in the volume of business that's coming through. The only challenges we are having is sometimes decisions are a little bit slower to be made because a lot of the decision makers are out of country, but no, volumes are picking up quite strongly.
Last year we saw a 16% increase in activity, interviewing activity over the summer months than we did in the previous 3 months. And this isn't across the board, but I do attribute this to a couple of smart clients. Effectively, if you think about what the summer period represents, a lot of people have got a lot more time.
There is demand for roles in areas such as healthcare, pharmaceuticals, ICT and technical, as well as infrastructure. Certain sectors, however, are now seeing a shift towards hiring in particular specialized areas within their industries.
But there has been change on a kind of case-by-case basis, an industry-by-industry basis. I understand from our marketing division, for example, that digital media is taking a real front seat in driving a lot of the demand from our clients, both on the advertising agency side, but as well as in-house. On the investment banking side, we've seen a slight pickup in mergers and acquisitions, but debt capital markets are still a strong area to be recruiting into.
Whilst recruiters are seeing a steady demand in new roles, they are also very clear that global economic conditions are still having an impact on the UAE job market.
We are actually very much part of the global economy, so I'm relatively cautious about the next 9 months. We're hiring in areas where we're confident significant demand will remain, such as infrastructure is an area where there's committed capital to growth. The pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industry will continue to show growth, as will FMCG and other defensive sectors. So we're targeting key jobs within those sectors.
Saudi Arabia recently introduced a quota system that will impact the number of expatriates that can be hired in the kingdom. However, the UAE head of police, Lieutenant General Tamim, stressed that there are no plans for such quotas to be put in place here. And recruiters are confident that expats will hold key roles in managerial positions for years to come.
Consultants and managers within recruitment businesses are very focused on being proactive in trying to source good talent and good candidates. So I would very much encourage any person who's looking for a new career or a new opportunity to be actively involved at this point in time in looking for a job.
The key thing to remember is that roles do exist throughout the year, and it is important for candidates not to take their eye off the ball when seeking new roles. Lourdes Sexton, 7 National News.
Looking to news abroad now, Russia was hit by a sweltering heat wave that fanned fast, spreading forest fires on Wednesday, raising fears of a repeat of last year's record drought and health calamity that engulfed the capital. The worst heat spell on record last year sparked peat bog and forest fires that scorched a quarter of the country's crops and wrapped Moscow in a cloud of acrid smoke that helped contribute to the deaths of hundreds of people. The Emergencies Ministry said the number of fires burning across the country had jumped by 35% over the last 24 hours, now affecting an area of 10,800 hectares. Moscow residents, meanwhile, stewed in temperatures peaking at 35 degrees Celsius, but Russia's top forecaster said he did not expect an extreme drought to come again this year. The United Nations continues to urge countries around the world to raise money and send relief aid to Somali refugees. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, based in the UAE, sent one of 7 planes with relief aid from Dubai on Monday, and the country's aid delegation will head to Somalia's capital in the coming week. But with the Horn of Africa going through one of the worst droughts of the decade, the fate of 11.7 million people is still uncertain.
Some 3.7 million Somalis, almost half of the population, are going hungry with drought that has hit some 11.6 million people across what local media have dubbed a triangle of death, straddling Kenya, Somalia and Ethiopia. The UN Food Agency sent a plane on Wednesday carrying 10 tons of so-called therapeutic food, which will feed 3,500 children for a month.
We've got 14 tons on board this aircraft, which has just landed today here in Mogadishu. Over the coming days, we'll be bringing in an extra 60 tons of this special ready-to-use food, which comes in sachets. It looks a bit like peanut butter. It's very nutritious, full of vitamins and micronutrients, and it's for the treatment of malnutrition in children.
The agency said it has an additional 70 tons ready in Kenya, which it will fly to Somalia over the coming days. According to the UN's refugee agency, there are about 400,000 displaced people in the capital, with about 1,000 new arrivals each day. It's estimated that 100,000 internally displaced people have arrived in the city over the last 2 months. The European Union's executive will increase its funding for victims after visiting Kenya and Somalia.
A prolonged drought in the Horn of Africa has created an extraordinary emergency and it requires extraordinary action. We have made the decision in the Commission to increase humanitarian assistance from 64 to 160 million euros. This is 2.5 times increase, and our member states are also providing substantial support.
Thousands of Somali famine refugees continue pouring into Kenya through a treacherous trek that does not guarantee arrival.
What we're mainly concerned about is the state of children. Foreign Minister Rudd of Australia called this the children's famine, and certainly what we saw is children who are arriving so weak that many of them are in stage 4 malnutrition and have very little chance, less than 40% chance of making it. We also heard from women who had to leave babies along the road and make the horrifying choice of saving the stronger for the weaker, or those who had children die in their arms. One woman I talked to lost 3 of her children on the road to trying to find food.
The World Food Programme says it needs an extra $360 million in urgent funds, while Oxfam says that overall another $1 billion is needed to handle the situation. Laura Buckwell, 7 National News.
Up next, we have the day's business news, so stay with us.